This is an express train, and the next stop is TMG.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to TMG. I'm your host, Travis Patton Sr. I enjoy discovering and sharing real-life moments of inspiration from everyday people. And this show is about finding moments of inspiration for our everyday lives. And look, and if you're going to tell me something, then tell me something good. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of TMG. That's Tell Me Something Good. I'm your host, Travis Patton Sr. Guys, real quick before we get started, as always, I want to thank everybody for being here. And as always, I want to give a shout out to my best supporter, my best friend, my lovely wife, Nicole. Girl, that's your shout out for today. And guys, guess what? Nicole and I just celebrated our 9th wedding anniversary Monday. So we're super excited about that. So 9 years strong and still going. Guys, I'm so glad that everyone decided to join the show today, as I always am. Guys, listen, if this is your first time tuning in, let me stop and say thank you for joining the show. I'm so excited that you are here. And if you tune in each week, every Thursday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, thank you for joining the show. In a very short time, this show is being heard all around the world. Guys, the show's been here a year now. Just celebrated a year anniversary with TMG. I'm super excited about that. So many great things coming up. Guys, as always, I'm excited to come and share some great stuff today. Have a great talk with everybody. So we're going to get started and start jumping in here. But so many wonderful things are coming down, guys, the pipe. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. Guys, today's topic, if you're wondering, is today's topic we're going to talk about. This dish is for you. Yeah, this dish is for you. Guys, we all, if you're anything like me, I like to eat. I am a big eater. I love all kinds of foods from all kinds of cultures. I don't lock it in. If it tastes good, chances are I'm going for it, and I'll try almost anything at least once when it comes to food. I love to eat. And like most of us, if we be honest, like most of us, guys, we all have our favorite dish that we love to eat. And now, while I said that, do me a favor. If you're watching this right now, go ahead and type in chat, what's some of your favorite dishes that you like to eat? Right? What are some of your favorite things that you know what you could eat, all day or at least twice a week? What's some of your favorite dishes that you love to eat? One of my favorite things I love to eat is when Nicole makes her macaroni and cheese. It is absolutely delicious. And I actually wouldn't mind if she made it more often. We tell her that all the time. She can make it more often, and we would not be mad at her. So what are some of your favorite things that you love to eat? What are some of your favorite dishes, guys? Because I know I'm not the only one who has something that they love to eat and that you can eat as often as you could and it wouldn't bother you. But today's topic, this dish is for you. So what we're going to talk about is for you today. Now, we all have our favorite dish that we love to eat. And regardless of what it is, we usually can't wait to get into it. And oftentimes, while we are rushing through it, I know me, when I'm rushing through Nicole's mac and cheese, oftentimes when we're rushing through it, we kind of don't stop and take the time to think what it took to prepare it. What it took to prepare it. And so some things require more attention. Some things require more attention from us. They require that we give a little bit more attention to it and that we do a little bit more in order for it to turn out right. I remember one time watching Nicole prepare the mac and cheese, and I asked her, I said, is this what you have to do to prepare this? You mean to tell me you have to do all of this so we can sit there on our plate and be full? I had a newfound respect for when she cooks mac and cheese because I then began to see everything that she had to do, everything that she put into it in order to get it to where we liked it. And I had a newfound respect for how she prepares it. Now, I ate it more, of course, but I had a newfound respect for it. I remember once, to bring up a story, guys. I remember once when trying to grow something. I think I was growing flowers or something. I can't remember what it was. I was growing something, and it just stopped growing. It just stopped growing and just died on me. It stopped growing and just died. And I remembered all the days I should have watered it, but I didn't. I think about it and say, well, you know what? Maybe this thing didn't grow as well as I thought it was because I thought it would because I didn't water it in the way I should have. I was inconsistent in watering. I mean, there were days I would think about watering it and I'd be like, you know what? It'll be okay. It'll make it another day without me watering it. And I really thought that. And lo and behold, it died on me. I was trying to grow something and I just forgot to water it and it died. Have you ever been trying to grow something or do something and it just seems to sputter or seem to stop on us? And I began to think about that. I said, it did not die because the soil was bad. It didn't die because, the sun, it didn't get enough sunlight. It died because it didn't get enough water. It died because my watering I wasn't consistent in watering. And I've thought about this, things will only be able to grow as far as the commitment we are willing to stick to. Things will only be able to grow as far as the commitment we are willing to stick to. I wasn't willing to stick to the commitment that it took to water that type of plant or what I was growing, so it died. Things that we want to grow, different things that we want to grow, will require a different amount of commitment. In other words, we can't approach everything with the same amount of commitment that we would with, let's say, sweeping the floor or picking up a piece of paper. You say, oh, well, I'll get that later. I'll attend to that later. Some things we can't expect to wait till later. Some things can't wait until later. Things will only grow as far as the commitment we are willing to stick to. If it's something that and I learned, and this is from my personal experience, if it's something we really want to do, we'll do it, right? If it's something we really want to do, we find a way to do it. If it's a place that we want to go, we'll find a way to get there. If it's a job we want to apply for, we'll find a way to apply for it. If it's clothes that we want, we'll find the way to get it. If it's something that we really want to do, we will find a way to do it. That's usually how it is. If it's something we want to do, we'll find a way to do it. But if it's something that's going to be inconvenient for us, if it's something that's going to cause us to stretch a little bit, if it's something that's going to cause us to be out of our norm, if it's something that's going to be a little bit tougher, when our expectation and our anticipation don't meet, when they don't agree with one another, and we have to do more than what we expect. Typically, we have a tendency to run from those things. Typically, we have a tendency to run from those things. Guys, listen, we can never expect to cross a finish line that we go in the opposite direction from. Let me say that again. We can never expect to cross a finish line that we go in the opposite direction from. There are times we have to do something very simple. There are times we have to forget who likes us, forget who told us they would be by our side and stepped away. We have to throw our whole self at something and see what happens. We can't wait to see how many likes we get on social media. We can't wait until we get a text message from our favorite friend. We can't wait until family joins in with us. We can't wait until we have the supporters we think we should have. There are times we have to throw our entire self at something and just see what happens. We can't afford to wait till everyone agrees with us. We can't afford to wait till everyone likes us. There's going to come a time when how many likes we get does not matter. And remember, the number of likes you get should never stop what you believe you should be doing. We should throw our entire selves at something and see what happens. Yeah, sometimes, and I thought about this in for my own personal life and personal experience. Sometimes I look around. Sometimes we can be like cars that have bad gas in it. You ever see a car that has bad gas and it starts, then it stops, and starts, and then it stops. It kind of sputters a little bit and smokes. Sometimes we can be like cars with bad gas, right? We start something and then we stop. We start a diet and then we stop. We said we're going to start this and then we stop. We choose to do this and then we stop. We make a quick commitment to do this thing, and then we stop. So we start and stop, and we begin to sputter. And it seems like our dreams or our hopes or things that we want to achieve, it seems like they are just sputtering. We start and we stop. We start, and everything begins to start to get shaken up. We start and we start, and we begin sputtering, and it kind of like a car that's sputtering. We hope we can find a hill to kind of roll down, so to speak, so we can gain enough speed to get past the sputtering. We just hope we can get enough, do enough just to get past the sputtering. We hope we can gain enough momentum that we can pick up enough speed so we can stop the sputtering, or we are just hoping we can get around the right people who will make everything all right for us, or find ourselves in the right situations that will fix every problem. But what we need to understand is this: every great thing begins small. Every great thing begins small. Every major idea, invention, company, or person began small. In certain areas of the country, there are things called these giant redwood trees. And let me put up a picture of one real quick. This is a giant redwood tree, right? And some of them have massive holes, like you see this one, massive holes in the middle of them. They're so large that a small car can be driven through it. Look at it. Let me show that here. A car being driven through the tree. The tree is so large that a car can be driven through it, but it began small. My point is this: where we begin doesn't tell our entire story. The tree began small, but it does not tell our entire story. How we start does not mean that is how we will end. And small does not mean insignificant. Just because we begin small does not mean you do not matter. I know that sometimes the only time we feel like we matter is when our name is in a marquee and when we have big lights around us and when everyone likes us and we have a huge following. But just because we begin small does not mean you do not matter. Small does not mean insignificant. Listen, this is what you have to begin to think about yourself and train yourself to think differently about yourself. You bring more than you think. There's a giant inside you. Even while you're struggling to grow, just like the giant redwoods, it's not the only thing growing in the forest. So while you are struggling to grow, there's a giant inside of you. While there are other things competing for your attention, there's a giant inside of you. While you feel the pressures of everything else around you, there is a giant inside of you. Even while you're struggling to grow. As a matter of fact, I believe in positive affirmations. Begin to just say it to yourself. There is a giant inside of me. Yeah, there's a giant inside of me. I don't care. It does not matter if you're 4'5". It does not matter if you're 3'6". Begin to tell yourself there is a giant inside of you. Whether they like you or not, there's a giant inside of you. Whether they give you attention or not, there's a giant inside of you. While they're trying to decide on who they think you are, there is a giant inside of you. And people come from miles around just to take a picture and stand next to those trees. People come from all over just to stand next to a tree. To a tree. Listen, who is waiting for you not to quit so they can come see you? Who is waiting for you not to quit so they can take a picture with you? Who is waiting to see what you can accomplish? Here's a fact I want you to think about, okay? I want you to think about this fact for a minute. Those who come to see the trees had no idea it was growing in the first place. They had no idea what they would see. In other words, you have no idea what you can really become in the right environment. Throw yourself at it. They had no idea that a tree was even growing, yet alone that it would be that size, that it would be something worth coming to see, that it would be something worth taking a picture with. Everything that ran away, that walked away, that turned its back on you had no idea that one day that you would be what you're trying to be, had no idea that you would be as great as you are. They had no idea that there is a giant inside of you. Yeah, had no idea that there's a giant inside of you. They thought you would always be small. They thought you would always be tiny. They thought you would always be waiting for their text message and always be waiting for them to email you. They had no idea that you would grow and that there was a giant inside of you. I remember I remember helping my grandmother bake cakes, right? I remember helping her bake cakes, and sometimes she had a mixer that she would mix everything with. But I remember sometimes instead of using the cake mixer, she would stir the mix in a bowl with her hand. She would just stir the mix in a bowl with her hand. And before she told me that, she said, before you could put the icing on, before you put the icing on it, you might have to stir it some. You might get tired a little, but just keep stirring. If you stop now, you would have wasted your eggs, the sugar, and the flour. But if you stir through what you've been feeling, you'll leave them something worth talking about. Now, that right there is good by itself. Sometimes we will find ourselves, and it will be necessary to stir through what we've been feeling. And I get it. We feel a lot of things: frustration, anger, upset. And with the whole pandemic thing, we've been feeling a lot more than we have been. But sometimes we have to learn to stir through what we've been feeling, and we can leave them something worth talking about. Give it everything you've got. Put everything you've got into it. Guys, I want to bring up a picture and show you something. This is a picture of a casserole. Yeah, it's a picture of a casserole. And so is this. This is also a picture of a casserole. Yeah, these are all pictures of casseroles, guys. Listen, I'm not sure if you know about it or not, but casseroles came about when people were trying to find ways to get the most out of what they had in kitchens. It wasn't someone thinking about how exquisite they can make it. There wasn't like we think casseroles nowadays. We think of exquisite casseroles served at fine restaurants and fine dinings. That is not where casseroles had their beginning. That's not how they started. As a matter of fact, in the 19th century, the New World embraced casseroles inspired by these kind of dishes brought by immigrants from many different cultures. They provided economical ways of preparing food during the depressions of the 1890s, 1930s, and the scarcity of food items during both world wars. So, in other words, casseroles came about when people had very little. Casseroles came about when people had a struggle. Casseroles came about when people had a problem. And now look where they are. Your background may say you don't deserve it. It may say you shouldn't get it. But if you stick with it, throw everything you have at it, throw everything you've got into it, you may come out something where everybody is wanting you. Listen, they were in the kitchen, and whatever they found, they made it work. They put everything they had into it. Pastas, meats, cheeses. And before long, they came out with something that is, that is served in places all around the world. As a matter of fact, guys, and this is true, as a matter of fact, President Thomas Jefferson's daughter fixed a casserole that was served at the White House. It had cheeses and pasta. It was a version of what we call macaroni and cheese. And just to let you know, fun fact, macaroni and cheese is a casserole. Yeah, its beginnings started in poverty, but it's served everywhere right now. You may not have the best start. You may not have had the best beginning. You may have made some mistakes that we regret, but stick with it. Give everything you have left. If you don't have it, listen, if you can't give everything you got, give everything you've got left. Throw your whole self at something. Yeah, throw your entire self into it. What we prepare may be ready to serve before people you have never met. What we prepare may be the main dish that someone is looking for. Give it everything you've got. Put everything you've got into it. Leave them wondering. Leave them baffling. Listen, casseroles had their beginning from all types of cultures and all types of backgrounds. Don't allow yourself to become stuck in one mold. Don't allow yourself to become stuck in one mold, and don't allow others to keep you locked into just one area when you are meant to spread. Give everything you've got into it. What's inside you is meant for more than one culture. It's built for more than one language, because no matter how it's described, good translates into every language. Yeah, give everything you've got into it. Everything you have into it. Put everything you've got into it. I know it may feel like that the last thing you just left out of took everything you had. It didn't take everything you have, because most times, to be honest, we don't know everything that's in us. Every time we say we can't go forward, we move forward. Every time we say we're not going to we're going to give up, we find ourselves going on. There is more in you than we realize. There's more to you than you realize. I know the last thing felt like it took everything out of you, but there is more in you. Good translates in every language. Put everything you have to work for you. Use everything you've got at your disposal and make something of it. Yeah, and make something of it. If you have a pen, then start writing. If there is a book you have not read, then write it. If all you have is the camera on your phone, and if there's a movie you have not seen, then create it. If the only thing you can do is hum, and there is a song you have not seen, heard, then compose it. Use everything you can. Use everything you can. Listen, like a casserole, put whatever you can into it. Yeah, this dish is for you. Yeah, this dish is for you. Like a casserole, put whatever you can into it. Put whatever you find into it. If there's a goal you have, if there's a dream you want, put everything you have into it. Listen, I believe the individuals that were making casseroles understood the fact that life is too short to wait and see if tomorrow will come. They put everything they had in this meal, regardless of what they found. If they thought it would be good, they would put everything they had in that meal for that day. Everything for that day went into that meal. Everything. Listen, here's what we can't wait to see what tomorrow will bring. We've got to bring everything we've got today. Some will like it, some will not. Don't allow it to stop you. Just because there will be some who won't be hungry for what you're serving doesn't mean someone else won't be asking for seconds. So we need to put everything we have in it and make our casseroles. Guys, it's that time again. As always, it's been a real blast. And don't forget to visit our Facebook page. That's Tell Me Something Good with the capital T. Guys, as always, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, guys. As always, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and so many more. And don't forget to visit us on our Facebook page. That's Tell Me Something Good with the capital T. It's always right here every Thursday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Facebook, guys. And it's always important, if you're going to tell me something, then tell me something good. I'm out of here. Peace. I gotta go.